Hwara! Chinese New Year is just around the corner, and you're probably wondering if you can continue your fitness progress during this period. We're looking at back-to-back feasts, endless snack trays, and the looming worry about gaining fat. If you're a busy professional who's worked super hard to stay fit, you know those mahjong nights and pineapple tarts can unravel all of your progress. So how can we enjoy the holiday without our waistline paying the price? Today, I've got you covered. We'll unveil a new science-backed approach to show you just how to navigate this Chinese New Year season without having to track a whole bunch of calories, bring out MyFitnessPal, and get all that judgmental stares from your aunties and uncles. This science-backed system is going to leverage satiety, habits, and some basic planning. That's all. But before we do so, we first have to understand why you failed in the past and why you find it so goddamn difficult to stay fit and keep lean during this season. Number 1, skipping meals to save calories. Now in the past, you've probably tried this. But the problem is, skipping breakfast or lunch for a big dinner later often backfires on you. By the time your reunion dinner arrives, you end up devouring everything because you're hungrier than you thought you were going to be, and your whole entire plan goes out the window. This is because extreme hunger overwhelms your willpower, especially when your family keeps pushing you to eat and eat and eat. So you end up overshooting the saved calories you had put aside for dinner, and then you end up regretting everything afterwards. Number 2, the all or nothing mindset. Maybe you've tried to thug it out in the past, right? You pull up to your auntie or your uncle's house and you say, alright, no bakwa, no cookies, no kueh bangkit, none of these snacks. I'm only gonna eat vegetables, maybe a bit of the lo hei and some mandarin oranges if those are available. Inevitably, this always ends in disaster. Because you eat one pineapple tart or you drink one beer and you think, ah shit, I blew it. Forget it, forget this plan, it sucks. And then you just tell yourself, oh, okay, it's Chinese New Year, let me give myself some grace, I'll just restart after I finish binging, eating everything in sight. This all or nothing mindset is actually one of the worst traps of all, because when you think in black and white, you think in extremes, you look at foods like it's forbidden, like it's a goddamn sin. And so what happens is, when you start to eat a little bit of it, you think, oh, I'm a bad person and let me just forget about my whole plan. And then you go the opposite direction, you eat a shit ton of food, which really sucks. Number 3, relying on sheer willpower. How many of you guys read David Goggins' book, or you think you're David Goggins and you can just rely on discipline and sheer willpower and get through this period? Well, sad news is, it doesn't work that way. Depending on pure discipline sounds good until reality hits. After a long work day and many house visits, a lot of the binian, you're gonna be tired, your brain is gonna feel overworked, and suddenly you face decision fatigue. By the evening, if you plan on resisting all the snacks, you're gonna pull up super hungry, you don't have any more willpower, and guess what? It's time for you to munch again. You gotta think about willpower like an energy bar, right? It's a finite resource. And throughout the day, when many things happen to you and you're a busy professional, you have to focus on many things, that bar eventually depletes and you no longer have that energy left. It's very hard to practice willpower, especially if you're surrounded by people eating the foods that you want to eat. Number 4, tracking calories at family dinners. I see you gym bros out there. I was once like this myself. In theory, logging every single thing you eat should keep you on track. But in practice, it's miserable, it sucks, everyone's gonna judge you, and come on, it's not sustainable, especially not during Chinese New Year. You know, your Ama's braised pork or your auntie's kueh lapis, there's no calorie labels for it, right? You're not gonna weigh it, and even if you do, it's gonna open up a lot of nasty conversations about how you're too extreme, you know? This health and fitness thing you're doing is too extreme, and it's gonna make you feel like tracking your food is a bad thing, which is not. It's just not very appropriate during these kind of gatherings. So ditch the scale, ditch MyFitnessPal, that's not what you should be doing. Number 5, trying to sweat out your calories. How many of you guys like to do Barry's Bootcamp, F45, HIIT workouts and think that is the key to losing all the weight I gained during Chinese New Year? Wrong! Look, you're gonna need to run an entire marathon to burn off the calories you just had for that big ass dinner. You simply cannot outrun a bad diet. We've talked about this many times. Trying to make up for the extra calories you consume by going harder in the gym, right? Running a shit ton more is gonna make you feel super exhausted, and it's gonna make you feel even more burnt out, which is gonna decrease that willpower bar anyway, and you know what happens next. Over-exercising is also gonna spike your appetite, make you hungrier than normal, and guess what? It's gonna increase your likelihood of munching on these snacks again. So, not a good thing. So why haven't any 5 of these approaches I just listed out work for you or anyone else you know? In short, these approaches suck because they're unsustainable and they're unenjoyable. They literally fight against your biology and your environment. Skipping meals and strict deprivation always backfire on you. Your body's hunger signals is always going to be stronger than your willpower, for sure. Relying on your willpower alone is not enough, especially when you're a busy professional. You've got kids to take care of, maybe you've got a partner, you've got a tiring job. You still have things going on in your life that requires your energy. So you're not no David Goggins, and you probably never will be. And trying to micromanage your calories using a weighing scale or MyFitnessPal, it's honestly quite miserable and it's very unrealistic. So there's no wonder these plans always collapse. So what the hell do we do now? Do we all just suddenly magically turn into Chupa Tie every Chinese New Year? Fortunately for you, there is good news, right? There is a better way. My way. Instead of battling your appetite and feeling guilty, work with your body and your habits. The strategy we're about to cover doesn't require you to count calories or be David Goggins. It's a smarter, science-backed approach that keeps your waistline in check during this festive season. So here's my new solution using science. Imagine an approach where you don't have to count your calories, you never feel starved, and you still get to enjoy your favorite Chinese New Year foods. Imagine that. It does exist, and it's an OT strategy, right? Own time, own target. The main thing is that it keeps you full and it keeps you very satisfied. The core idea is to set up your diet habits and your environment so that you naturally eat fewer calories without tracking at all. This approach is backed by nutrition science and psychology, and it's perfect for busy folks like yourself who can't be fussed to track your calories, weigh your food during festive seasons like this. So let's break down the key components to this science-backed strategy. Number 1, satiety is key, right? Keeping full is key. Because when you're full and when you're satisfied, you're much less tempted to eat. Do you remember the time where you had a big meal and you're super full and someone offered you dessert or some food afterwards and you actually said no? Why? Because when you're full and satisfied, it's so much easier to resist tempting foods. Not all foods actually fill you up the same, and you probably know this from personal experience. For example, according to an index, the foods that actually fill you up the most satiating, is actually boiled potatoes. They're about 7 times more filling than a croissant. In general, foods high in lean protein, fiber, or water is always going to satiate you more than foods that are not high in these things. Basically, big portions of low-calorie foods that are just very voluminous in nature are going to take up so much space in your stomach and make you feel full without a lot of calories at all. So use this to your advantage during Chinese New Year, right? Before you pounce on all the snacks, load yourself up on high satiety foods. At a hot pot, eat plenty of leafy greens, mushrooms, and lean protein before you hit the fattier meats and things like fried noodles. At a reunion dinner or buffet, start with a big tall glass of water or just have a big salad. By the time you move on to Ama's rich braised pork or fried mian gao, you are now better able to control yourself because you're a lot fuller. And the thing is, do remember to eat slowly, right? It takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register that, hey, I am getting full. So if you gobble up your food too fast, you're probably gonna eat way past that comfortable fullness before your brain can even catch up. So during meals, I want you to pace yourself, right? Slowly chew your food, right? Treat it like a fine dining experience, right? Talk in between, right? Chinese New Year is all about socializing. Put your chopsticks, your cutlery down between bites. Don't hold it in your hands, put it down, enjoy your food, chew slowly. By giving your body that time, you're better able to notice when you've had enough. And so a very easy way to gauge this is to just use the hunger scale, right? You don't really ever want to exceed a 5 upon 10, right? You should start before the meals at 4 and end at a 5. And so how you can start at a 4 is just making sure that you've preloaded yourself with high satiety foods And you just need to eat enough that you get to a 5, but not to a 6, 7, or 8. Number 2 is all about adding foods and not banning foods. Psychologically, it's a lot more effective to add good foods than to outright just ban bad foods. In other words, instead of declaring your favorite goodies as off limits, focus on filling up yourself with wholesome foods and have them in moderation. This is going to reframe your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Completely forbidding your snacks that you want to enjoy is going to create this negative thought in your head, kind of like the story of the forbidden fruit in the Bible, right? When you tell Adam and Eve, don't eat that apple, guess what? Now all their attention is going to go to that apple and they're like, I really want to eat that apple, you know, and if I do, it's a sin, and it's just very negative. So don't label your foods as good or bad, and try not to tell yourself like, oh, it's forbidden, like, I can't touch it at all. Just look at it differently, right? Food is neither inherently good or bad, right? Label this differently so that your relationship with food is healthier. When I coach my clients, I find that the best way for someone to enjoy their desserts or their snacks is to have their fill after they've already consumed their lean protein, their fiber, you know, from the vegetables and their fruits, after they're properly hydrated, so that they're not as hungry. Right? And it's just enough for you to consume to scratch that sweet tooth, that itch that you have, without going overboard. So again, have a couple pieces of pineapple tarts, have a little bit of bak kwa, right? Chew it slowly, enjoy it like it's fine dining, and really savor it. Now you don't feel guilty, you don't feel a sense of remorse. You're truly enjoying the moment and spending time with your loved ones. Also, there's so many different Chinese New Year snacks. You don't have to eat absolutely everything. Just pick your top 1 to 3 snacks that you really love, right? For me, it's always bak kwa, it's always pineapple tarts, and it's always, for some reason, I really love kueh bangkit, right? So I'm not gonna look at anything else, right? Everything else, if I know I'm not a big fan of, just pass on it. You don't have to eat it mindlessly. This way, you can get maximum enjoyment, but minimal damage. So who wins at the end of the day? Number 3, you wanna plan ahead with implementation intentions, right? If X, then Y, right? You coders out there, you software bros, I mean, you guys know the if-then statements, but this is super useful when it comes to keeping fit. Because you've probably heard the saying, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? Willpower is overrated. Planning beats willpower any day of the year. By planning in advance, you remove all of this willpower struggle, all of this uncertainty of, I don't know what to do, because you have a plan. And psychologists call this implementation intentions, right? If X, then Y. And it sounds stupidly simple, but it's also stupidly effective. One study found that 91% of people who wrote down a specific weekly exercise plan actually stuck to it, versus only about 35% of them who didn't stick to it. So planning ahead can literally 3x, triple your chances of being successful during this festive season. So take a moment now, I want you to just pause this video right after you hear me say this to map out what your own personal Chinese New Year game plan looks like. Think about the most likely scenarios, right? The most likely things that are going to come up for you, and plan out your if-then statements right now. That way, in the moment, you're not just weighing it, you actually just revert back to your plan, right? For example, if your uncles, your aunties, or your parents just keep urging you, have more, eat more food, just say, no, I'm full, you know, I'm full. Thank you so much, I'm full, but I'll have more later when I feel like it, right? Just politely decline. There's nothing shameful about it, right? You save yourself a lot of a headache trying to explain yourself, right? You keep the calories out, and they're not gonna disturb you because you just told them you're full, you're gonna help yourself later. That's one good way to approach it. And if you come home and you wanna raid the cookie tin, right? Eat the tin of pineapple tarts because you're super hungry after a whole day of visiting. Instead of doing that, you should have probably prepared something like a Greek yogurt snack or a protein shake, or maybe a protein bar, right? That you will have maybe together with a tall glass of water or a hot tea. You just fill up your stomach a little bit and then decide after that if you truly want to have Chinese New Year snacks. So that way, again, if this happens where you come home late at night, you're hungry, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pre-prepare your snacks beforehand so you have something to eat that's healthier, that's more nutritious, that's gonna fill you up instead of just raiding the cookie tin. So by pre-deciding your actions, you're gonna feel a lot more in control, a lot more empowered, and a lot less stressed when these situations eventually happen. And the thing is, they will happen. That's why you always feel like whatever you do doesn't work, because you know they're gonna happen, but you don't know what to do. So now you know how to handle them, and I want you to just take a pause in this video and write down some if-then statements like, if this happens, then I'm gonna do this. If this happens, then I'm gonna do this. So think about the top 5 most likely challenges and scenarios and write it down and comment it down below so we can all share some tips with each other. Number 4, you want to design your environment for success. Now again, you might think your willpower is strong, but your environment is a lot stronger. Now the simplest way to eat better is just to change your surroundings. And research backs this, right? One study found that women who left soft drinks out on the table, right, where it's visible, gained 26 more pounds than women who didn't do that. And the women who kept a bowl of fruits visible, readily accessible, weighed 13 pounds less. So what's the moral of the story here? Out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if you guys have read this book by James Clear, right? Very popular book, Atomic Habits. He talks about how bad habits are formed and also how good habits are formed. And there's always this 4-step habit process called the habit loop, right? It starts with a cue, then a craving, a response to it, and then the reward you feel. So at the top is the cue, whether it's a visual cue, an audio cue, a memory cue, it doesn't matter. If you have something that triggers you to want to even crave that thing in the process, you need to get rid of that cue, right? And when you can get rid of that, you don't have to practice willpower anymore. Suddenly, it's a lot easier to be disciplined. So you want to arrange your environment such that it's always healthier than it normally is, right? At home, if you have the snacks lying around that's so readily available and in sight, stash it away, put it away, hide it away, tell a family member to hide it from you, or just throw it away so that it's out of sight, out of mind, right? If you're in the office and in your larder or your pantry, everyone's having Chinese New Year snacks, put them away, or tell everyone to reduce the number of snacks that they put out, right? It doesn't have to be 5 tins of every single kind of snack. Now that's getting rid of the bad stuff, but how can we introduce the good stuff? So instead of making the bad stuff readily accessible and within sight and reach, you want to make the good stuff readily accessible. So for example, you could put 0-calorie soft drinks, right? Coke Zero. You could put a bunch of mandarin oranges, right? A whole basket of them, right? Fruits and 0-sugar drinks are not going to ruin your weight during Chinese New Year, so you might as well enjoy these things. By removing constant visual reminders of junk food, you are going to snack a lot less mindlessly. Also, during your gatherings, just chuck on the UAV and turn your radar on. Don't camp right next to the snack table where everyone is. Just take a small plate, fill up that plate with the things you really want to try and enjoy, and then go away, go socialize, go talk to your family members that you haven't seen in years. That's the whole point of Chinese New Year. Where you're not within arm's reach of all these different snacks, you're much less likely to just graze on these snacks mindlessly, right? Instead, get engaged in conversations, go play with your nephews, your nieces, or just take your chance at mahjong without eating or drinking all the time. And you'll find that it's a lot easier than you think to reduce that eating. If you didn't hear me mention this earlier on, I talked about using smaller plates, right? Using smaller plates at a buffet, at a gathering is actually a really good trick to make yourself feel fuller than you normally are, because we tend to finish whatever's on our plate. So if your plate is smaller than what you normally take, you're just gonna consume fewer calories in general, and it doesn't actually affect your fullness all that much. So use smaller plates. All right. Number 5, mindful indulgence and managing your appetite. So finally, you want to practice mindful eating and tune in to your body's signals. You only want to eat until you're satisfied, not completely stuffed, right? Remember, 5 upon 10 hunger level. So a good rule of thumb is to really only have food until you're about 80% full. A good way to test this out is after dinner, if you feel you could get up, actually go for a run, do a little bit of physical activity, you've probably eaten just enough food. But if after that dinner you feel lethargic, you feel bloated, you have to, unbutton some buttons, you've probably eaten a bit too much food. So again, to help with this, eat slowly and savor every bite. You can even pause halfway through your meal or halfway through your bite and just check with yourself, am I full? Am I already satisfied? If the answer to that is, yeah, I think I am, you definitely are. And remember this, the first few bites of every meal, every snack is always the most rewarding and dopamine-heavy bites. And then every subsequent bite after that just gives you diminishing returns. So you don't really have to eat all that much food of the snacks anyway. Another thing is also just consider why you're eating in the first place. And I know that sounds silly, but a lot of people don't eat out of necessity, right? They eat because they're bored or they're just stressed. And then this becomes a really bad habit of like, oh, I'm an emotional eater and I eat when I'm stressed or I need the energy for my work. Like, no, you don't, right? There are a lot healthier alternatives out there. And you don't want this to become a bad habit. So if you're feeling stressed, instead of just reaching for the snacks, just munching mindlessly, why don't you just go out, take a deep breath, go for some fresh air, take a walk, go and vent to a family or a friend instead of eating. And if you're bored, why don't you go and play with your cousins, your little nephews and nieces? Go play mahjong, go and strike up a conversation, right? Spend time with your loved ones. Again, that's what Chinese New Year is all about, right? So replace these triggers that normally result in you eating food with more wholesome and more fulfilling things. Also, keep this in perspective, right? A few festive meals is really not gonna derail your progress all that much. You're gonna have to eat a huge surplus for many days to even gain fat. In fact, research shows that the average holiday weight gain is only about 0.37 kilograms. So it's unlikely that any weight gain that you see after Chinese New Year is actually permanent fat gain. It's more so just water weight from all the extra sodium. Once you return to normal eating, everything's gonna settle back down and you'll be fine, right? The real issue is turning all these bad habits that you pick up during Chinese New Year and letting it cascade down into the rest of the month, the rest of the year, the rest of your life, and building these really bad long-term habits that you probably struggle with right now because of what you've done in the past. So enjoy the treats over the holidays, but do it in moderation and the skill will eventually come back to normal. Now, why does my approach work better than yours? Well, it doesn't fight your body or your lifestyle. Because the thing is, you're managing hunger instead of just battling it, right? You're allowing yourself treats in moderation so you don't feel deprived. And by planning ahead and changing your environment, you don't have to rely on willpower 24/7. It's also a super realistic strategy for a busy lifestyle that you probably live. You can celebrate with your family and enjoy the festive season very quietly, sticking to your nutrition plan. There's no need for you to pull out the weighing scale, start scanning your food with the calorie apps. No need for that. You're just making smarter decisions with every single meal. And because these habits are evergreen and super flexible, you can use them for the rest of your life and throughout any festive season, right? Like Deepavali, Hari Raya, Christmas. Not only will you avoid that holiday weight gain, you might actually be able to keep it off permanently. Most importantly, this science-backed approach empowers you, gives you control, and reminds you that you are human after all, right? That this Chinese New Year festive season is not about particularly getting shredded, right? Being the best shape possible, right? It's about reminding ourselves of why we even spend time with our family, because we love them and we want to share special moments together, right? For some of us, we haven't seen them in ages, and Chinese New Year is one of the rare joyous occasions that we can spend with them to reconnect, to rekindle that relationship. So yeah, I understand that you don't want to be the person that's rejecting the foods and not taking part in all these cuisines, but that also doesn't mean that you have to swing the opposite way and just munch like there's no tomorrow. This way, you're gonna start the year of 2026 loud and proud, because you're gonna be one of the rare individuals who has both things in life, right? You've got a vibrant social life, but you've also got an impressive physique and bulletproof health. How rare is that? Alright, we've covered a lot. By now, you have a solid game plan to avoid gaining fat while still having fun this Chinese New Year. Now, if you have found this video helpful and you want to take your fitness to the next level, right? Progress beyond just the holidays, then I have something special for you. My mission over here is to help busy professionals like yourself achieve amazing results like you have never seen before. using smart, science-based strategies like the tips you have learned in this video. So if you are ready to make a serious transformation in your health and fitness this year, whether you want to lose 20 kilos of fat, gain muscle, get abs, get stronger like you have never seen before, then what I invite you to do is book a free one-to-one strategy call down in the description below, right? Where we will personally dive deep into your struggles, your goals, and personally map out a custom roadmap and game plan for you to achieve results like no one else has seen, whether that's melting off fat or building muscle, just like we have done for many other busy professionals just like yourself. Check this out. Oftentimes, one insight or one tweak in your approach, as you have seen throughout this video, is all it takes for you to transform your mindset and transform your fitness. So don't wait until another year passes by, you gain a lot more fat, you go through more yo-yo dieting before you start taking action for yourself. So click the link in the description if you want to get some help, right? Let's make this year the happiest, fittest new year for you yet. With that being said, if you like this video, if you found it even a little bit helpful at all, then what you want to do is drop a thumbs up, right? Drop a comment, tell me about all your if-then statements or how you found this video helpful, right? Go ahead, subscribe, because we're going to put out a lot more videos like this, and share it with a friend who you know always loses himself, gets lost in the sauce every time Chinese New Year comes around. Because he's gonna need it, because he's gonna turn to 猪八戒 if you don't do that. So, 祝你新年快乐，身体健康. Let's crush it this Chinese New Year, and I'll see you in future videos. Take care. Bye bye.